Were they all gonna be in romance?
Yeah.
It's surprising because all of the recommendations that you've given me in the past were all like fantasy.
Well, the thing is, I was talking to Brian about, I have already told you all of my favorite things. Other issue is that my read list and your read list are nearly identical. Obviously, the first one, The Love Hypothesis.
That is so funny because we talked about this. I knew you were gonna do that, so I pulled it up already.
Yeah, obviously. Funny because I saw somebody the other day describe it as like Kylo Ren fiction, which I think is really funny.
People say Ali Hazelwood was a fan fiction writer.
I have to be real, I'm a huge Star Wars fan. You already know that. I used to read Kylo Ren fan fiction like crazy when I was 15.
Maybe that's why you gave this a 5-star.
So then I was thinking, like, what do you normally not read?
Don't tell me yet.
Don't tell you yet?
Don't tell me yet.
Right.
Tell me after I finish this, because I want to do it in the way like I finish this, I give you my rating, I give you my thoughts. Good morning, it is the next day. I got the pic from Natalie last night before our little hangout. We usually do like a Wednesday hangout session, so I didn't get to read anything last night, but I'm about to pick up the book. It's funny because I knew she was gonna pick this first, because this is, I think, her most recent 5-star read, and I just knew she was gonna pick it. But I'm about to start this book. Wait, Olive is such a fun character. I like her. Oh god. Please tell me there's not this trope of, oh, he's so tall, constantly talking about it, because I am traumatized from the hating game. Decided to drop out 6 months into it for reasons. Goofy smiling, Goofy smiling. Adam is making excuses. This man is making excuses. Oh, in case Anne's still around. Okay, if you guys don't know what this book is about, I'm on page 31 right now, so I don't know that much. I haven't read that much of the back here because sometimes I like going into books without knowing the entire plot line. But you have Olive, she is a third-year PhD candidate, and then you have Adam Carlson, who is a professor. One day, it's a whole situation. I'm not gonna go into it, but one day she purposefully kisses him to play off the fact that she lied to her friend saying that she's dating someone when she actually isn't. So now there's a fake dating trope going on and they have to... It's so crazy. It's so... You're probably asking yourself, well, why is the professor going along with it? And isn't this weird? I think I know why he's playing along. You see me smiling? This book is it's like so silly and so lighthearted. It's just fun. I really like Olive currently. And then with Adam, he's just like your typical brooding male character, and I'm living for it right now. Hey guys, it is day 2 of My Best Friend Chooses What I Read for a week, and I read a good bit last night. I had a really good time reading this. It kind of just flew by. It's a really easy read. It's really dialogue filled. This is meant to be an adult romance, but it feels really YA. I'm not hating on that. I love YA romances. I'm currently on page 155, and I'm really enjoying this book. I love the characters. Olive is super... I wouldn't even say she's spunky yet. Wait, what is the definition of spunky? Someone with spunk. She just seems like a really fun person to be around, and I think I would be her friend if she was a real person. She says what she feels, but then she also has a lot of social anxiety, which is so relatable. And then there's Adam, who is like this brooding professor, and I can see why Natalie likes him so much. He fits right into her fictional book boyfriend type. The kind of banter that the two main characters have back and forth is a lot of fun, and like I said, it is dialogue filled, so you will go through this book so quickly and you won't even realize how many pages you've read. If you guys want a fun romance book, the STEM aspect, the academic setting, smart people, I don't know, there's just something so addicting about this book so far. and I'm loving it. There's a lot of like, I don't want to say cringy because I don't think it's cringy, but I think other people can find it a little bit cringy. They're just scenes that are super unrealistic and would only happen in books. There are just moments that like, you know, that would not happen in real life. I don't even fault it because it's just so entertaining to read. And this book gets me giggling over the smallest things for no reason. This girl is so dense. This book is the epitome of small gestures. Good morning, guys. I have finished The Love Hypothesis by Ali Hazelwood. I'm so sorry. I know I did not give you guys that many updates in between reading this, but I hope the reactions and the clips that I did catch were enough to show you how I felt about this book. But let's do an update now before I call Natalie and tell her the rating. I'm not going to tell you guys what I rate this book. You'll see it when I tell Natalie, but let's go over this. As you guys know from earlier, this book is about two scientists, one who is a PhD student and the other being a doctor, professor at the same school. Honestly, did not know what I was expecting from this book other than the fact that it was a romance book. I was gonna go into this a little bit hesitant because I am not a woman in STEM, so I was kind of worried that I was not gonna understand things. It wasn't gonna comprehend and I would not connect with the characters whatsoever, but I was so wrong, so wrong. I love Adam Carlson. Olive is great. I love Olive. She's a good main character. You know how sometimes you get annoyed at your best friend? That was the feeling. But Adam Carlson? Ali Hazelwood wrote one of the best fictional male main characters I've read in a really long time. I don't know, there is something about Adam Carlson. He is the blueprint of book boyfriend. He is the blueprint that men should follow in real life. I don't know. I am the type of girl that doesn't need really big gestures. I don't need an extravagantly planned vacation. You can come home with a book or just food or snacks for me and I'd be happy enough. Like, there's just something about him doing the bare minimum but also going out of his way to remember things that like even you as a reader don't pick up on it until he does it and you're like, oh my gosh, they did talk about this. He got me giggling the entire book. Their banter was really good. I blew through this book, but obviously because it is an adult romance, there are spicier scenes, which I think are really well written. I feel like spicy scenes can get really cringy really fast if they're not well written. So applaud to Ali Hazelwood. I like the spicy scene in this. I don't typically care about spicy scenes. I could care less if a book had it or not. But if you do have it, it should be well written, and Ali Hazelwood definitely did that because I was so shocked. I had there were multiple times that I had to put it down and be like, oh my gosh, is that happening right now? Is this happening right now? This book was so fun to read and Natalie did a really, really good job. Anyways, you guys will get my rating in the next clip. What do you think I rated the book?
I think you gave it like at least 4 stars. Even if it's not like a literary masterpiece. First of all, Ali Hazelwood is a fantastic author. She knows how to write. So I think it was at least a 4-star.
Okay, I'm not gonna tell you my rating yet. It was so fun. It's an adult book, but it read like YA. And that's not like a bad thing. It's not a negative thing. I think the writing was just so easy to read, and her book had so much dialogue, so you like flew through the pages. I love the banter between them, Adam and Olive. The way they like talk.
I know.
The nicknames, I'm not gonna say the nickname. There are 2, and you know what they are. But that one that I texted you about, and he only used twice in the book. Usually when people use that nickname, I cringe so hard because I'm like, ugh, default nickname, you know, like that's not cute, whatever. There's something about Adam Carlson.
Listen, I'm telling you, he could do anything that he wants. and I would let him. I think that's why I liked the book so much, because that's what people like about YA, right? Is that it's easy to read. Normally when you read YA, you have no thoughts in your brain. Like, even the Hunger Games, mega dystopia, it's like super deep or whatever, but like when you read the Hunger Games, it's like this. Like, it's super quick. There's no thoughts in your brain. Ali Hazelwood managed to write an adult, because it's an adult book. Characters all act like adults. There's no YA part of it at all. The writing is not childish. Adult book with adult writing and adult themes, but like, you fly through it. You can read it and have so much fun, but you don't feel like you have to like read a children's book. I have not fucking blushed and kicked my feet reading a book like that in so
Dude,
long.
I don't think the blushing part I cannot relate more to. Like, I don't blush for books, because typically I'm like cool, like they're in love and it's cute, whatever. But I blushed when he was talking. I was like, okay guys, this is an adult romance, so there is spice. But it's not spice that you think it's, like, it's it's not the type of spice that you typically read in adult romances.
It's so well written.
It's emotionally sensual, not physically. It's not the act of sex and stuff. It's these emotional and mental, like... I will say, like, I feel like this is underappreciated. I really like that the way Ali Hazelwood wrote the book too, it's its own separate chapter, and if you cut it out of the book completely, it doesn't need to be there. If you're uncomfortable with smut, or like that's not something that you want to read, you can skip it.
Like, it doesn't need to be there and you can like completely skip over the chapter.
There's another thing about Natalie's fictional man. They have to be obsessed with the girl. They like have to be obsessed.
I have a type.
What I really liked also is that just because it was set in academia and set in science, it can be a little daunting for some people if you're not in that field. But as someone that's not in that field, I felt like it was still really easy to read. The science that they do go into, it's like elementary, middle school level science. Like, you will understand it. It's not like they're talking about such minuscule things that only a PhD student would know. It was so easy to read, but you still get that feeling that you're in a PhD program.
Well, on the flip side, as somebody whose major was literally molecular biology, I loved how accurate everything was. She strikes that balance so perfectly of, I could tell that she knew what she was talking about, and that was really nice for me. I was in a research lab. I did Western blots. I did animal experiments. I did grant writing. Like, I knew everything that she was talking about. It speaks to Ali Hazelwood's talent as like an author, she's able to appeal to somebody who's literally spent my entire college career getting a degree in what she was talking about. And, like, you were the complete opposite of what my degree was in, and we both were like, I really appreciate the way that she's writing this book.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell you my rating. I gave it 5 stars.
So I told you, it was okay, it's a 5-star read. Is it not a 5-star read?
It is.
It's a 5-star read.
I haven't had a book in a good bit that has made me wish that it didn't, like, end. Yes, I've had 5-star reads, like Magnolia Park's the 3rd book. I love that book. 6 stars with 1 bajillion stars. But I think it ended really well. But with this book, it's like, no, like, I want more. Like, please, just, like, keep feeding me, Ali.
I would read a book about them just, like, eating pancakes.
If you just want a cute romance, pick it up. Guys, I'm not lying. Like, I blush. Yes, I giggle at books a lot.
This is like a
but
whole
this is
other
like
level.
This is like I had to put the book down, text Natalie, and I was giggling. You guys saw the clip. I even texted you. Philip asked me, why are you smiling like that?
Literally.
Now, how are you gonna top this? A 5-star for the first pick?
I know. I was thinking originally like Pride and Prejudice, because that's like one of my favorite books. And I know you haven't read like a ton of like classics. But I also feel like it's not representative of me at all to have you read a ton of romance books.
We changed spots because I had to charge my phone, but Natalie has decided what my second book is gonna be.
I decided that we're gonna do Red Thing, because I also really want it. And it's available at the library.
It's what?
Available at my library right now.
Oh, so you want to buddy read it?
Yeah, which means I can grab it right after I finish Fourth Wing, which I was planning on reading tonight.
I just knew it was like sci-fi and everybody is loving it. It's like Hunger Games in space, and I feel like that is such an interesting concept.
I've been wanting to read more space because I love space.
Well, I'm excited about Red Rising.
I am too.
Alright, I'm only on page 30 so far in this book, but I have a few things I want to talk about because it's not what I expected. It's giving off a lot like dystopian. So there's this society that runs this community on Mars, and the community is split up into different colors, which are different social classes. And each color have different roles in society. So like in character, he's in the red. It's really interesting, and I think there's a lot of world building to come. I'm a little bit confused, but I think I'm getting a more clear image on what it's like. So they're living on Mars, and basically this community is trying to get Mars ready for the other colors that are still on Earth. And that just sounds like rich, powerful people taking advantage of these not so rich, powerful people doing all the hard work so they can just move to Mars whenever it's done. So it's a lot of corruption already.
If you need to learn how to talk to a lady, ask your mum.
I have a feeling something really bad is about to happen. Oh, that scared me. Oh, God.
Ask your mum.
Really have not read that much. The last time I talked to you, maybe read like 30 pages. Right now, I'm on page 90. And I can't get over how in awe I am so far with this book. Like, it is so fascinating. I went into this thinking one thing, and I'm now not questioning myself. The world building is so fascinating to me and intriguing. Like, there's a lot of information, but it's done so well and it feels really natural. There's already so much going on, and I'm not even 100 pages in, and I love that. I love when a book does that. It just jumps right in, keeps you interested, gives you a background that you're fighting for. And I don't know if you guys agree with me or not. I don't know. I typically gravitate towards more female writers only because of the experiences I've had with male writers. Sometimes I just didn't enjoy the book or just the writing style. It's just the best way to describe it. It's just not. So I gravitate towards female writers a lot more often. But with reading more and more books, I can't do that. You know, like, there are male authors out there. I can't just ignore them. If a book is deemed as really good, I'm not just gonna be like, oh, I'm not gonna read it because it's a male author. And I'm so glad that I picked this up. I'm like really glad. Pierce Brown, so far, is a wonderful writer.
Out the window, spirit goes up as the rain falls down. I've been sailing on the wrong course.
This is so
together like I did before. Think that I've said this a few times. Even with that, has it ever felt right?
I don't quite remember if I've ever done a actual official update for this book, but we're gonna do one right now. I'm on page 230 and I am a little bit over halfway done with the book now. I'm really enjoying it. The pacing is really fast. Things are always happening. You're gonna be really intrigued throughout the entire book because there's just so much action happening, mind fuckery going on that you really think a lot about it. The one thing that I am having trouble with is the like lingo and the language. So the dialogue and also the way it's written, sometimes it's a little choppy, and I think it's done that way because that's how the characters talk and that's how the society is, and I don't blame the writing, but it's just a little bit hard sometimes to read, and it just takes me out of the world sometimes. Granted, there are a lot of other times that I am lost in here. I am kind of just watching my own movie in my head while I'm reading. Overall, I'm really enjoying this book. It is not at all what I expected. at all. I went into this thinking strictly Hunger Games in space, but it's so much more than that. I would better describe it as like a war simulator and Divergent. I didn't like Divergent as much as I liked Hunger Games, but the concept is there. As for the character, Darrow, he is interesting. He is really complicated. Sometimes I don't understand the way he works, and I can never predict what he's gonna do or what he's gonna think, because he's not like the typical main character hero where they are always going to do the right thing that you think they should do, but he goes off of how he's feeling. The values are very different because of what he's gone through and just the life he's lived, and I find that really fascinating because I can't predict what he's gonna do. It makes the story just more interesting in that way. It's one of those books that you have to kind of prepare yourself mentally to be open to the world building, because if you're not, you're gonna be like, well, this is just kind of all over the place. What's really fascinating about this is that this feels like a dystopian where it's set in the future, but then also it feels kind of like old. I think that's the wrong word to use. They have a lot of characteristics of a dystopia in the future, but then they also have a lot of characteristics of a kind of medieval past. I don't know, maybe it's just how I'm imagining it. I don't know if it's just me. I don't know. It's a lot and I don't want to spoil anything, so I'm not going to go into it, but just know that it's really fascinating. It's really interesting. It'll make you think. Definitely will make you think about life, society, government, and your morals. But I'm really enjoying it. I think the hype is definitely there, and I think it's very valid.
This is up in every moment. Can I just be honest? I was only wondering if maybe we could take it to a different conversation. Things will get uncomfortable, but only if we make it. I just wanna say that, but you'd rather take it all back. Sunlight, you stay in the shade.
The victories in this book is so satisfying. Like the little tiny victories, so satisfying.
Ooh, I get lost, you go with your day. Slowly get closer, but you're moving away. I know it's just a recap, but I'm sure you'll never see that.
I was not expecting that.
Maybe it's
I knew it. This is the one thing I predicted. I freaking knew it. There's so much in this book that I can't predict or didn't predict, and I had no idea it was coming. But I predicted this. I knew something was suspicious.
feels like I'm patiently waiting in line. So can we ever have another moment? Can you just be honest? I was only wondering if maybe we can take it to a different conversation. Things will get uncomfortable, but only if we make it. I just wanna say that still you'd rather take it all back. Although you are sunlight,
That's not how I expected
in the shade, and that's
it to end.
just to give space, 'cause I wouldn't believe that.
Alright, I finished Red Rising. You guys saw my reaction to that ending. I was not expecting it to end the way it did because it feels like it was too, not predictable, but too, what's the word I'm looking for? Too sane of a decision. The entirety of this book, I could not predict how the main character or the other characters were going to act. So when I thought, oh, this is how he's gonna act, I was like, that's too like normal. That's too normal for Darrow. But he did it. He did what I thought he was gonna do, and I was like, oh my gosh, he really did it. So it just surprised. Right now, I think I need to sit with it and think it through more because I'm on the verge of it being a 4.75 star and a 5-star book, which is insane because the only 2 reads I have in this video both be 5 stars. Natalie, good job, great job. The reason why I'm not FaceTiming her to tell her my reaction and my rating is because she's actually on a plane right now to fly to New York for a festival this weekend. So I'll see her tonight for dinner and I'll tell her then, but it won't be in this video because she hasn't started reading the book anyways, so I can't really tell her too much. That's besides the point. Let's go back to this book. I honestly am so pleasantly surprised. I wouldn't say I went into this thinking that it was going to be a bad book, but I did not know what I was getting myself into, and I'm so surprised at how much I love this book. In the beginning, it was a little bit hard to read. The lingo, the grammar, and how the society and the community talked with one another kind of confused me. I didn't get it at first. It was kind of hard to read. It was was a little hard to understand what was going on without having to read word for word really slowly in my head. So I was a little hesitant on having to read this entire book if that was my experience. But the more I read, the more I got comfortable and it was easier to read. I got really into it. The creativity of this is really crazy to me because I could not have imagined something like this. Like I said earlier in this video, I don't think this is much of a Hunger Games situation rather than like a school with a war simulation. And there are very much Hunger Game parts of it, like little details of it that kind of remind me of the Hunger Games, but other than that, it was very different. It was so deep. I could not predict what was gonna happen and I was so entertained the entire time. This book has really short chapters, which is really nice. I love short chapters because it just makes you feel really accomplished every time you finish one. In each of the chapters, there is something constantly going on. So this entire book, it does not lull out. There is stuff going on the entire time. You're anticipating so much through this entire read. At least for me, I was. I think it really gave me that 5-star read because I just didn't feel bored. I'll give you guys my final rating for this book for my monthly wrap up at the end of this month. Just know that I really enjoyed this read. I am so excited to pick up the second book, which is Golden Sun. I can't go too much into this and tell you the plot because the plot changes a lot, guys. What you think is gonna happen does not happen, which is so fun. I also want to applaud Pierce Brown for his character writing. His characters are some of the most interesting and also complex characters I read in a really long time. Tell me how his characters make me hate them, but then also I know I shouldn't like them, but I do like them. And it's such a mental conflict. I just can't put my finger on if I should like them or not, and if I should trust this character or not. It always kept me on my toes because of that, and I never knew what was the truth and what was a lie. So I love that. I love when a book can just keep you guessing. I usually try to read at least 3 books per video, but this took me a little bit longer than I anticipated to read because I just wanted to digest everything that was handed to me in this book. So I hope that's okay. I hope you guys enjoy this video and I will catch you in the next one. Bye!
Slowly getting closer, but you're moving away. I know it's just a recap, but I'm sure you